Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4th of July sale and get 30% off paints and stains June 26th through July 6th. Whether you're refreshing your interior or exterior, we've got the colors to bring your vision to life. And with delivery, getting everything to your door is easier than ever. Shop online to have it delivered or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details. Delivery available on qualifying orders.
Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome to Orioles on the Verge. This is Zach Spedden, joined as always by Bob Phelan and Nick Stevens. And on tonight's episode, we're going to get into comments made by Mike Elias over the weekend indicating that the Orioles will go into the trade deadline as buyers. Despite their sub-500 record, the team remains close to a wild card spot. But a lot can change over the next few weeks, so we're going to break that down on tonight's episode, which is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack, hydration, and coffee sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are a delicious, low-sugar, brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ Bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean labeled certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. All IQ Bar products are packed with clean, delicious ingredients that keep you physically and mentally fit, like magnesium, lion's mane, and more. With over 20,000 five-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their busy lifestyles with IQ Bars, brain and body-boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all three. IQ Bars become part of my daily routines, whether it's starting my morning with IQ Joe, grabbing an IQ Bar or IQ Mix to refuel or rehydrate after a hard workout. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64,000. Text MLB to 64,000. That's MLB to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. Now, over the last few weeks, really over the last few months, frankly, one question that has been hanging over the Orioles is, can this team go on a run between now and the deadline and solidify themselves as buyers going into the deadline? And after yet another week of up and down, inconsistent baseball, on the field, it felt like we were no closer to having to answer that question. But off the field, Mike Elias gave a pretty strong indicator of the team's suggestion and comments to reporters before Sunday's loss against the Nationals. Among the topics that Elias addressed during that conference were the deadline, and quoting here from Andy Koska's piece at the Baltimore Banner, "Every single year I felt pressure and you worry about your job in this business. But I think we have a really good chance of doing what we want to do, and we're working very hard, and we're all very optimistic about it. And regardless of how we got here, we're a game and a half out right now, and we have everything ahead of us. I think we're going to be good." Now, the Orioles, of course, dropped Sunday's finale against the Nationals as well, but the point remains. This has been a really bad year in the American League. You have a wild card race that is full of teams that in other years probably would be preparing to sell right now. So the Orioles are in the hunt still, but we are still about a month away from the trade deadline. There's a lot of baseball to be played, and a lot of things could break, good or bad, for the Orioles over the next few weeks. And Nick, I want to start with you here. It seemed like Elias' statement didn't really leave any room for ambiguity, but at the same time, we do know that there's weeks before the deadline. How do you feel about the prospect of the Orioles going in as potential buyers?
Try
great, Bob.
No. Like, what else is he gonna say? Like, at this point, like we're heading into July, right? In a day or two. Past the midpoint of the season, All-Star break is just a couple of days away. But yeah, like you said, they were at the time of that quote 1.5, but I think they're like 3.5, 4 now after tonight. We'll see how Monday night ends up shaking out after the Orioles lose again. So like, yeah, despite the record well below 500 at this point, there, like you said, there's no one separating themselves in the American League. And I mean, you even look around the rest of the American League, like Texas. You think, could Texas go on a little run here in the West? And then Wyatt Langford goes on the IL. Like, it's just the IL continues to populate across the league. No one's really taking advantage of anything in the American League, I guess, except the Rays. They are, because I thought the Rays magic was finally dead. But I think they are 5 or 6 straight wins. The Yankees are 6 or 7 straight losses. I think Jazz Chisholm just was knocked out cold on the field tonight. Things are going bad in New York. Things are going bad for Toronto right now. But the Rays continue to just do their thing. But no one else in the AL. So I only watch 1-2 games a week. If that, it's hard. Minor's my priority. That's where I want my content to come from. And life and everything else, I watch when I can. But I'll go 2 weeks and be like, man, they're got to be 6, 7, 8 games out of a wild card spot now. You look up and it's no, they're 2 out. And they have 2 more bad weeks and it's they're done now, right? Nope, they're still 3 out of the wild card. They're still right there. But even though we're getting so late in the game now, it's just what else is Mike Elias supposed to say at this point if he's asked about it? Because, yeah, he can't throw in the towel publicly right now. And it is true that statistically this team is still right there, but I don't know. Like I said the other week, they're still in striking distance. If they're still in striking distance at the deadline, there's no excuse. You got to go for it. But every single day it's just the same quotes from Pete Alonso and others. We're capable of going on a run. We just got to lock in. We can do this. It's July in 48 hours. It's almost July. It's almost the All-Star break. This team has proven that they can't do that. They can't go on a run. You are who you are at this point. So I just took the quote as optimism, yeah, cool, but then you continue. I don't think they've won a game since then. I don't know. I just don't know what I'm supposed to say other than, yeah, we're going to be buyers until you're more mathematically out of it. I don't know.
Exactly. And at the time, it was Sunday morning. We were 6 games under 500, 2 games out of the wild card, looking pretty good going up against Zach Littell, old friend from Tampa Bay. Still got that magic, apparently. You lose to the Nationals on Sunday. You come out, White Sox, the freshly reborn White Sox that are all of a sudden playing well, come in, beat us 8-2 on Monday night at the time of the recording. So now we're 8 games under 500 and 3, maybe 3.5, depending on how things go the rest of the night, out of the wild card, and 5 teams ahead of us. We'd have to leapfrog 5 teams now to get into that 3rd wild card spot. Last time I said this, they went on a run as much as they have all year and got to within 3 games of 500 again. But I mean, at this point, I'm pretty much out on the buying. 2 days ago, I was right there with Elias. If they would have won even one of the last 2 games, I'd be like, okay, we could still do this. But you lose 2 in a row. You're now 8 games to under 500. There's just no sign. You can't win more than 3 games in a row, but you certainly can lose more than 3 games in a row this year. Honestly, I'm surprised we're only 8 games under 500. The way this season has just been a disaster from top to bottom. So hopefully I'm jinxing them into the right direction once more by saying I don't buy that they're going to be buyers at the deadline. Not the way things are going. Yes, there's a month plus a couple days or games to go. So you never know, but my God, they've had every chance in the world, and they beat themselves and kicked themselves in the nuts so many times and just, can't get out of their own way. Unfortunately, the talent's there. I still believe that, but they're not putting it together. Even tonight, at the time of this recording, Shane Baz goes 7 innings, gives up 2 runs. I believe the Orioles had bases loaded, nobody out earlier in the game, and we're only able to get 1 run across. Bullpen comes in, gives up 6 runs. So I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, if you want to look for something that encapsulates this season, for me, it's the end of the West Coast road trip last week. They take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, maybe the best team in baseball. Then they go to play the Angels, maybe the worst team in baseball. Lose 2 out of 3 in a series where they should have at least won 2 games. The finale, they just basically shot themselves in the foot with sloppy defense at the tail end of the game. Come home against the Nationals, win the opener, and then drop 2 straight. And again, they probably could have won either of those 2 games. I think they absolutely should have won Saturday. Sunday was closer than the final score suggested that it was. But when I look at this team, it's I want to believe that they're buyers. But where do you start? The bullpen, the outfield. How do you take a team that is this bad defensively and this bad on fundamentals and completely turn it around without trading for a new outfielder, a new infielder? You're going to have a lot of holes to fill if you're going to solve that problem, because apparently the group of players that are here now can't get it solved in time. So you're going to have to bring new players in to fill that. The starting rotation, which everyone thought going into the season was going to be a problem. Actually, it's not been that bad lately.
It's been the strength of the team.
That's the strength of the team right now. But we know how fickle starting pitching can be. So you're going to have to go get a starter at the deadline regardless. And my question at that point really is, how much are you going to put in to try to fix this particular team? For me, you've got to be close in the wild card. If you're 2 out the week going into the deadline, fine. Go ahead and go for it. But, Bob, you brought up a good point, which is that you're going to start falling behind further teams, and then it's not going to become a problem of how many games back are you. It's how many teams do you have to leapfrog to get into that last spot. How many of those teams do you have yet to play? How many teams do you hold tiebreakers against? There's a lot of complications that go into that can make the picture really murky, even if you're only 4 out going into the week of the deadline.
Yeah, and that last Angels game is just – that was like the nail in the coffin for me. That was like the epitome of this entire season. You're winning handily pretty much the whole game. I believe Samuel Basallo had 2 home runs. It's 5-2 late. Somehow you blow it. I believe I can't even remember exactly how it got into extra innings, but it gets into extra innings, they blow it. Then they get runners on and somehow get thrown out at the plate, but then still manage to score a run. And it's like, okay, maybe we can finally squeeze victory out of the jaws of defeat.
Same.
And this is
Same.
very much in keeping on theme here. This is the Orioles season in a nutshell. You want my phone?
Just clip this. This is how you doing. How you feeling about the Orioles season?
It's Parenthood 101. It's her 3rd birthday live on air. I don't know. Anyway, but then 2 outs, Keegan Aiken on the mound, routine ground ball to second base. Somehow nobody's covering first. Keegan Aiken's late to get there. The shovel pass right to his glove. Drops it. Runner kicks it into right field. They tie it up. They go on to win. It was a disaster, a catastrophe, just like the 2026 Orioles.
I think the last time I heard her cry that much on air was when the Orioles traded for Zach Flaherty. So she knows ball. I got to say that.
That's like the kicker for me is when, if you want to point to any hope, any optimism about this team moving forward, the kicker for me is this team isn't going to get any better defensively whatsoever. This is who they are. It is pretty poorly constructed defensively. Shout out to Colton Cowser playing center field, though. That is one bright spot, but this is who they are. The boneheaded mistakes, you haven't cleaned them up by July. You're not going to. Like this is who they are right now. So, yeah, it's just, again, it's what Elias had to say at the time. I can't publicly go out there and say, yeah, well, I think we're going to be some sellers here at the deadline when this team technically is still in it. But I also just have no hope that you could be buying, sure, if you want to play semantics and really dig into it. Sure, they're going to be buyers, but they're going to be doing the prospect for prospect deals. That's the buying they're going to be doing. Yeah, I mean, sure, trade a bunch of these trade a bunch of the Rule 5 eligible prospects for players that are controllable. Hopefully, ideally, but you're not going to outbid the Dodgers. You're not going to outbid some of these other teams that are going to be competing for the Joe Ryans and the Sandys, whoever. I don't really care who's available right now. There are other things on the calendar going on before the trade deadline, but it's frustrating. This team is showing who they are. The quotes about we got to buckle in and do all this and play more fundamental defense. You've proven that you can't do it. You've proven that you can't win and go on a stretch of games and win games that you need to. You've proven that you can't strike when the iron's hot, even when everyone else around you is losing. You also continue to lose. It's shit the whole year, pretty much at this point.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to the next part of this discussion, which is if the Orioles are going to sell, what does that approach look like? I think that we're all kind of on the same page about not wanting to see Adley Rutschman dealt now, and I don't think that that's going to happen for a variety of reasons, really not having anything to do with Mike Elias' comments over the weekend about wanting to keep Adley around, but more so because I don't think that they are quite ready to hand over the keys to Samuel Basallo and have him catch every single day, and there's not a viable in-house option to take over for Adley if you trade him. So I think that he probably sticks. But what about Taylor Ward on an expiring contract, Trevor Rogers on an expiring contract? Would those guys seemingly be in the mix? Ryan Helsley, I think you could even throw into that group as well because he has a player option after this season. And then one other thought I had in all of this is, regardless, do you get some sort of head start on 2027, knowing that the lockout could complicate the offseason? You might have a very short window for free agency before the lockout. If it drags into March like it did the last time we had a lockout, you'd have a very short window of free agency after that. So it's going to be a weird offseason. Is there some sort of hybrid approach the Orioles can take where they're sellers, but they're bringing in guys that can help get them started to building a better roster in 2027?
I guess we'll have to see. I mean, I'm curious to see. They're going to have to get more creative than they did last trade deadline when they were selling, because there's just not that many guys that are sellable. Not many rentals, really, other than Rogers, Ward, maybe Helsley, maybe Kittredge, but he's had a bad year for the most part. So it's really tough to envision unless they're really going to be like, let's figure out what the issue is, blow it up. I don't know. I don't think they're in a position to blow it up because Gunnar hasn't performed this year, but he's still the guy that you have to kind of build around and live through the life of his control and contract before I feel like you could ever consider blowing it up again. And I don't really want to go through that again anyway, but it's tough. Yeah, because Ward and Rogers, do you want to – would you get more than just the qualifying offer and potentially bringing them back for 1 year / the draft pick you would get if they signed somewhere else? Do you still want to try to re-sign Rogers since he looks like he's regained what he had last year recently? It's a lot of tough decisions. It would be a lot easier if we were buyers straight up. Maybe that was Mike Elias wishful thinking, trying to talk it into existence there, because it is just a lot simpler that way. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to start investigating down this line of thinking. Baseball trade values, where you at over the next few weeks to get a better handle on it. But right now, I'm not exactly sure what the answer is.
Those are good points. And now we will head into our final segment of this episode. We have a lot going on this week, so this is purposefully a little bit of a shorter episode, but we are going to have a lot more coming out for you later on this week. But we'll head into the final segment of this episode, Last Call, brought to you by Checker Spot Brewing, located at 1421 Ridley Street. Checker Spot is not far from Camden Yards, making it the perfect place for a pre- or post-game drink. And with the Orioles out of town this coming week, you can still head over to Checker Spot and watch the game there, because they've got plenty of TVs to go along with good food and drink. Plus, look for a fun event on Sunday, July 5th, as they team up with Mate Brewing and Pickett, also part of the South Baltimore Brewing District, for their annual Putt-Putt event. Be sure to check out South Baltimore Brewing District's social media for more details on that. And now we're going to focus on the minor leagues in this last call segment by doing our normal shout-out of players outside the top 30 portion of our top 50 list for something they've done recently, whether it's been a good game, a good week, or just something interesting in their stat line that we want to point out. I want to start with Bob because, as a little bit of a teaser, one of these guys is no longer going to be eligible for this segment in a couple of days. And if you want to sign up for our Patreon community and find out who that is when we drop our July top 50 update on Wednesday, be sure to do that now. But in the meantime, Bob, give us a little bit of a hint here.
Well, I think the guy, my hitter, is someone that I don't think we're ever going to have the chance to talk about in this segment ever again. So let's just get it over with. Jaden Loray. He has been fantastic. Not going to spoil anything where he's going to end up in our top 50 rankings exactly, but he is on a helium track just the way Nate George was last year. I honestly think he could get promoted to A+ Frederick in the next month or so, because he is dominating low A Delmarva, even more so than he was in the complex league in the FCL. Just for reference, it's his age 19 season. He had 76 plate appearances in the FCL, a 116 WRC plus, batted .354 with an .883 OPS, only struck out 8% of the time, walked around 12% of the time, gets promoted to low A Delmarva, and has performed even better. It's a .333 batting average, .909 OPS, 159 WRC plus, 9.5% strikeout rate, 20% walk rate, ISO about a little bit over 100. It was 108 in the FCL, 106 in low A. He's to me, he's just not being challenged. I think kind of was like with Nate George. He got promoted. He continued to do what he did. So they got him up to, at the time, Aberdeen to give him a little bit of a test, a little bit of a challenge, because I don't think he's going to really be able to make the necessary adjustments until there are pitchers who can get him out, basically. And yeah, I'm excited to have back-to-back high school later round picks. I know Nate George was much later, but 5th round high school pick, Jaden Loray, maybe in one of the last years the Orioles were able to do it. Looks like they might have found another golden nugget there in the high school ranks. And my pitcher is one of my favorite things the past month or so is which pitchers are going to come off the IL and show up in the FCL box score this week, this day. And Teddy Sharkey, it was today. Just no hints that it was coming, and boom, there he was, added to the FCL roster, gets in an inning of work, gives up a hit and a walk, but it was a scoreless inning with 3 strikeouts. Ultimately, get him healthy, add him to we just did our prospect reliever rankings. I think if he gets healthy and pitches the way he can, he could find himself on a list of that sort relatively soon. And yeah, it was exciting to see him back. As the Orioles season falls apart, the minor league season seems to get more exciting. So hooray for us.
I pulled it up real quick here to check. Sharkey sat 96.4 on the fastball, touched 96.8, and with a 3,000 RPM curveball. So there you go. Some good stuff in that first outing. He's really hasn't pitched in like 2 years. So yeah, good to see him out there on the mound. I'll go with my hitter, Miguel Rodriguez. Talking about guys who missed all last year. Again, missed 2025 with a fractured ankle, but he just hasn't missed a beat. Talking about guys in the low minors just hitting the ball, not being challenged. I think Miguel Rodriguez is in there too. He hit 294 last week, got a home run, I think on Sunday, doubled 400 on base percentage for the week. So he's got 21 games under his belt now, back with Delmarva. So not counting his rehab in the FCL, he's got a 150 WRC plus, 303 average, 20% walk rate, 90% contact rate, and a 3.6% swinging strike rate. So I think he's got one of the better hit tools in the entire organization, and I'd love to see him kind of become the primary catcher up in Frederick. I don't.
He's legit back there too.
Yeah, I just don't. If you're behind Yasmil Boucher, sure. I'm not, but I don't like any of the 3 options they have in high A. I think Miguel Rodriguez is better than all 3 of them, and I think he could be the primary guy. You wonder how much the Orioles want to push that ankle this year. He's also still 20 years old still, so that could be a factor. But and if Boucher is a guy, he is Rule 5 eligible, but you're not going to be protecting him. But if the bat looks like it's continuing to play at high A, it took him a little while after coming off the IL. I think he had, I believe it was a hamate bone. I think he suffered from that as well. So, but he hit 3 home runs in 1 week the other week or something ridiculous. So if you want his bat to continue to develop, I get it, and kind of hold Miguel Rodriguez back a little bit, but would love to see Rodriguez get challenged a little bit more. And talking about pitchers coming back too, Holden DeJong has been back for a little bit, but if you look at just his box scores and the little bit of StatCast data we are getting from the FCL this year, he's getting better and better and better and continuing to build up. So I figured I'd shout him out here because I think we get our first look at him in Delmarva this year. So we've been 11th round pick last year, but just debuted a couple weeks ago in the FCL, had Tommy John surgery after 4 or 5 starts when he was in college last year. So a lot of praise for increased velo and better breaking balls right before the draft. But then obviously the injury, so limited him a lot last year. But last week he went 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And so over his last 2 outings, he's got 10 strikeouts, back-to-back 3-inning performances. So continuing to build up. And again, some initial data. He's sitting 93 from the left side with 17 inches of induced vertical break. Fastball is getting a 33% whiff rate, 40% whiff rate with the slider. So some pretty interesting metrics there. Just interested to see. Big 6'4" lefty. Interested to see him get our first live looks at him this year, which I think should be soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I like that. And Miguel Rodriguez, his development, and we already were on him a couple of years ago as the breakout guy, and then unfortunately he broke out his ankle. And but this year, the bounce back for him has kind of made up for Andrew Tess being on the IL all year. So at least we got one young, promising catching prospect going off.
Yeah, between Rodriguez surging along with Loray and some guys coming back from injuries, plus an infusion of players from the draft potentially, Sorber is going to be a lot of fun over the final months of the season. I'll start my hitter this week, and it actually is a current member of the Sorbirds. Braylon Whitaker went 7 for 19 in their series against Fayetteville last week and belted his first home run of the season as part of a 1 for 3 performance on Sunday. So far this year, Whitaker has put up very strong numbers, a 281 batting average to go with a 114 WRC+. He has stolen 19 bases, been caught 10 times. That's a common issue with some younger players, so look for him to work it out as he moves up the ladder. But regardless, impressive speed, and the walk to strikeout numbers are very, very good. 15.2% walk rate compared to a 14.8% strikeout rate coming into the week. And then my pitcher, I went down to the DCL. Left-hander Junior Villavicino went 5 innings on Saturday against Orioles Orange, striking out 7 while walking just 1. Just to give a little bit of background, Villavicencio was signed out of Cuba last year for $40,000, but did not pitch, so he is making his professional debut this season at the age of 18. In Saturday's outing, he topped out at 93 miles an hour. So some impressive secondaries, and that stuff has led to good results so far, including a 1.5 ERA with 15 strikeouts over 12 innings pitched.
Yeah, could be a breakout guy. I bet you that was the first time you've said his name out loud after reading it in your head multiple times. It's always a journey. You never know what you're going to say when you try to say something for the first time.
Yeah. I love the shout out. I was not going to go there. I'm going to wait a little bit, wait till he gets to Delmarva. I'll let the Delmarva broadcaster handle that first. But no, it's pretty cool to see some of these younger guys start to debut. A lot of interesting arms down there in the Dominican Summer League performing well so far. And the bats, I don't know if it's orange or black, but yeah, I think one of the teams down there is just knocking the cover off the ball repeatedly. Ariel Roque settling in. So yeah. I love watching the DSL games. A lot more entertaining than the Major League team. I'll say that.
And with that does it for this week. So we're going to be back later on in the week to break down our second half breakout candidates. These could be players that have missed time with injury or just generally struggled over the first half, but we think are poised for a big second half in the minor leagues. In the meantime, you can check out our many social media channels, including Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Blue Sky. We're also over at Substack, OriolesOnTheVerge.substack.com. And while you're browsing around the internet, be sure to head over to Patreon.com and sign up to become a member today at the $3, $5, or $10 levels. You'll have access to our monthly update, which is going to drop Wednesday for our July top 50 prospects, as well as weekly coverage from Bob, Nick, and myself, and access to patron-exclusive channels within our Discord community. So for more on that, be sure to head over to Patreon.com. For Bob Phil and Nick Stevens and Zach Spedden, you've been listening to Orioles on the Verge, part of the Believe Podcast Network.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.